General L stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the view screen with satisfaction. 3 years of negotiations with the humans had taught him one thing: they were weak, too emotional, too soft. They refused to take military action even when it was clearly needed. They talked and talked instead of acting. This made them easy to push around. The Empire had been part of the Galactic Coalition for over 2,000 years. L himself had served for 3 centuries. He knew how the galaxy worked. Power mattered. Strength mattered. Everything else was just noise. "Sir, we have detected a human transport ship in the border zone," his second officer reported. The officer's scales flickered blue with professional efficiency. L nodded. The border zone was disputed territory. Humans claimed it was theirs. The coalition disagreed. This was the perfect opportunity to remind the humans of their place. "Scan the vessel," L ordered. The officer worked at his console for a moment. "The ship is civilian class. No weapons detected. Life signs show 140 human specimens aboard." Specimens, that was the correct term in coalition military doctrine. Not people, not citizens. Specimens. It helped soldiers remember that other species were just assets or threats, nothing more. "Send a tractor beam. Bring them to the detention center on station," L said. His voice was calm, almost bored. He had done this hundreds of times before with other species. The transport ship tried to run. Its engines flared as it attempted to jump to faster-than-light speed, but technology was superior. The tractor beam locked on and the small ship went still. Within an hour, it was docked at station, and the 140 humans were being moved to holding cells. El barely gave it another thought. He had prisoners. The humans would negotiate. He would get concessions. They would get their people back. This was how the game was played. Standard procedure. It was 3 hours later when the first message came from Earth. Ambassador appeared on the communication screen. Her face looked wrong to L. Humans always looked strange with their flat faces and small eyes, but this was different. She looked angry, very angry. Her jaw was tight and her eyes were hard. "General L," she said. Her voice was cold as ice. "You have taken a civilian transport ship. You have taken 140 human beings. You will release them immediately." L waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. "Ambassador, your ship was in disputed space. This is a military matter now. Perhaps we can discuss terms." "There are no terms," interrupted. Her voice got harder. "You have children, General. 87 children between the ages of 6 and 14. You will return them, now." L paused. "Children." He pulled up the manifest on his personal screen. Yes, there it was in the notes. The scanning officer had marked ages and biological development stages. Many of the specimens were juveniles, pre-adult. So what? In culture, offspring were expendable until they reached full maturity. A female could lay 60 eggs in her lifetime. Only the strongest survived. This was natural. This was how the galaxy worked. Most species produced many offspring because most would die. It was efficient. "Ambassador," El said slowly, "I understand your concern, but these are simply bargaining assets. They will not be harmed if your government cooperates." 24 hours, said. Her voice shook slightly. "You have 24 hours to return every single person on that ship, unharmed, all of them, do you understand?" El felt his scales flush orange with irritation. The humans were being dramatic, as usual. "Ambassador, I do not respond well to threats. Your military is small. Your ships are few. I suggest you take a more reasonable." The communication cut off. The screen went black. El sat back in his command chair. Humans, so emotional, they would calm down, they always did. He had the leverage, he had their people. They would negotiate properly once they accepted their position. His advisor, a smaller named, approached carefully. "Sir, perhaps we should review the biological data on humans. Their reproduction rate is..." Not now, El said. Prepare a list of demands. We will present them to the humans in 12 hours. Let them worry for a while. What El did not know was that, at that very moment, alarms were sounding across human space. Emergency protocols were activating. Military personnel were being called back from leave. Ships were being prepped for immediate deployment. On station, in a gray holding cell, a man named stood in front of a group of terrified children. He was a teacher. He had been a soldier once, many years ago, but now he taught history to middle school students. This was supposed to be a simple field trip. They were going to visit New Sol Colony to see the museums and learn about early human space exploration. Now they were prisoners. "It's okay," told the children softly. "Everything will be okay. Your parents know where you are. Earth knows where you are. They will come for us." A little girl named Sarah was crying quietly. She was only 7 years old, knelt down beside her. "Hey, Sarah, remember what I told you about your mom and dad? They love you more than anything in the universe, right?" Sora nodded, wiping her eyes. "Well, everyone on Earth loves you that much too," said. "And when someone takes a human child, every human becomes angry. Every single one. They will come for us. I promise." Another teacher was checking on the other children. She was calm and organized, making sure everyone was accounted for. The third adult, a doctor named, was particularly worried. One of the students, a boy named, had diabetes. He needed insulin regularly. They had medicine in their bags, but the guards had taken everything. "We need to get medication for one of the children," said to a guard. The guard looked at him with 3 eyes that showed no emotion. "Requests will be processed according to protocol." "He could die without it," said urgently. "Protocol," the guard repeated and walked away. Put a hand on shoulder. "They don't understand. They don't understand what they've done." Looked at him. "What do you mean?" His face was grim. "They've made the worst mistake any species can make. They've threatened human children. They think we're weak because we try to solve problems with words. They don't understand that we use words because we're trying very hard not to use violence. They just declared war on the entire human race. They just don't know it yet." In space above the planet, something appeared on long-range sensors, then something else, then more. Ships were coming, human ships, and they were not coming to talk. 6 hours after Ambassador's warning, El was reviewing tactical displays when his sensor officer made a strange sound. It was almost like a whimper. "Sir," the officer said, his voice shaking, "I'm detecting multiple contacts, human signatures, coming out of faster-than-light travel." El looked up with interest. "How many?" 14 ships, sir. Capital class. They're taking up positions at the edge of the system." 14 ships. That was more than El had expected, but it was still nothing compared to his fleet of 127 vessels. The humans were making a show of force. It was almost cute. "Open a channel to the lead ship," El ordered. The screen flickered and a human male appeared. He wore a dark blue uniform with many medals. His hair was cut very short and his face looked like it was made of stone. Cold, hard, emotionless. "This is Admiral Menu of the United Earth ship Indomitable," the human said. His voice was flat. "You have human citizens in your custody. Return them." El spread his 4 arms in what he thought was a reasonable gesture. "Admiral, we can certainly discuss." "Return them," Menu repeated. "That is not a request. That is a statement of fact. You will return them." "I have over 100 ships, Admiral," El said. He kept his voice patient as if talking to a child. "You have 14, be reasonable." Admiral Menu's face did not change at all. "You have human children. That changes everything. This is your only warning." The communication ended. El sat back, confused. Why did the humans keep mentioning the children specifically? Yes, there were juveniles among the prisoners. So what? This was war. This was politics. Young ones were captured in conflicts all the time across the galaxy. His advisor approached again, more insistent this time. Sir, please, you need to understand human biology. They are what the old texts call K-strategists. They produce very few offspring, usually only one or two in their entire life. They invest enormous resources into each child. When humans evolved, their young were completely helpless for many years. The adults who did not protect their young at all costs, their genetic line ended. Do you understand? Their entire species is built on the foundation of protecting their children. Elle waved this away. I appreciate the biology lesson, but this is a negotiation. They are bluffing. Sir, I do not think they are bluffing. Look at the sensor data. 3 more human fleets are converging on this system. At current speed, they will arrive in 20 hours. Elle pulled up the data. His scales went pale. It was true. More human ships were coming, many more, from multiple directions. How many total? He asked quietly. If all fleets arrive, approximately 80 to 90 ships, sir, maybe more. The humans are mobilizing everything they have. Elle felt the first whisper of doubt. For 140 prisoners. For 87 children, corrected. On station, the situation was getting worse. Little was starting to show signs of distress. His blood sugar was dropping. He was sweating and shaking. Doctor had been requesting medication for hours, but the guards kept saying protocol and walking away. Finally, a guard captain arrived at the cell. He was larger than the other, with darker scales and a more ornate uniform. The young one needs medicine, the captain asked. Yes, said urgently. Please, he has a medical condition. Without insulin, he could go into shock. He could die. The captain considered this. We do not have human medicine here. It's in our bags, the bags you took from us. There's a blue container with his name on it, please. The captain nodded slowly. I will check the storage. Wait here. As if they had a choice. The cell was locked with an electronic barrier that would stun anyone who touched it. Kept the children calm by telling them stories. He talked about Earth, about the oceans and mountains, about their families, anything to keep them from panicking. Sat with the younger children, letting them lean against her. Some were crying quietly. Others just stared at nothing in shock. A small boy named whispered, Are they going to hurt us? Looked him in the eye. No, I won't let them. None of us will let them. And more importantly, the entire human fleet won't let them. Do you know what's happening right now? Shook his head. Right now, every human ship in space is coming here. Soldiers, sailors, pilots, people who have never even met you are preparing to fight for you. Your mom, your dad, everyone you've ever known, they're all demanding that you come home. And humans do not give up on their children. Ever. Outside the cell, guards were talking nervously among themselves. News was spreading through the station. More human ships, many more. The humans were not negotiating. They were not backing down. They were preparing for war. One guard, younger than the others, looked worried. Are we really going to fight them? Over some juveniles? An older guard shrugged. Orders are orders. Besides, what can they do? We have their young. They will not risk them. The younger guard was not so sure. He had been reading about humans in his free time. Their history was full of violence, wars that lasted years, weapons that could destroy entire cities. And in every one of their old wars, the worst atrocities happened when children were threatened. Humans had a saying, Hell hath no fury like a parent whose child is threatened. He did not fully understand it, but it made him nervous. Back on Elle's flagship, the situation was changing rapidly. More reports were coming in. Human colony militias were mobilizing. Human corporations were offering military support. Even human criminals and pirates were broadcasting messages that they would stop all illegal activities until this situation is resolved. One message in particular made Elle pause. It was from a notorious human pirate known only as Red Hand. The message was short. We steal, we raid, we kill when we have to, but we do not harm children. Any species that does will answer to us as well. Return them. El read it 3 times. Even human criminals were threatening him. "Sir," his communication officer said nervously, "we're receiving a transmission. It's on a tight beam, directly to your personal channel. I don't know how they got the encryption code." "Play it," El ordered. A new human face appeared, a younger male with cold eyes. "General L, I am captain of the UES Retribution. I want to show you something." The image changed. It showed a planet from orbit. El recognized it instantly. His scales went completely white. It was Prime his. "See those 6 small signatures in orbit?" His voice continued calmly. "Those are human stealth ships. They've been there for 4 hours. You didn't know they were there because we didn't want you to know. Each ship carries enough firepower to sterilize a continent. We have locked onto major population centers, schools, hospitals, nurseries where your eggs are kept." El could not breathe. His own offspring were there. Captain's face reappeared. His eyes were like ice. "You have our children. We now have yours, every single one. You have 18 hours left." The transmission ended. El sat frozen in his chair, approached slowly. "Sir, they would not really." "Yes," El whispered. "Yes, they would. They absolutely would." For the first time in 3 centuries of military service, General El felt true fear. 12 hours had passed. El had not slept. He stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display as more human ships arrived. The count was now at 47 vessels. More were still coming. Coalition Command had sent him 3 messages. The first asked what was happening. The second demanded a situation report. The third ordered him to resolve this incident before it became a full-scale war. But El could not back down now. If he surrendered, if he simply gave back the prisoners, he would look weak. His career would be over. The Empire would be humiliated. No, he still had options. He still had the prisoners. That was leverage. The humans would not attack as long as he held their people. "Sir," his sensor officer said, "the human fleet is moving. They're entering attack formation." El felt his confidence return slightly. "Let them posture. They won't fire, not while we have their precious children." Looked at him with something close to pity. "Sir, with respect, I do not think you understand humans yet." Before El could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with emergency alerts. The sensor officer nearly fell out of his station. "Sir, the human fleet just jumped. They're inside the system. They jumped into the debris field." El's blood went cold. The debris field was full of asteroids and ice chunks. Jumping into it was suicide. The smallest calculation error would mean crashing into a rock at faster-than-light speed. It would destroy any ship instantly. But the humans had done it. All 47 ships had jumped directly into the inner system, cutting through dangerous space like it was nothing. "Impossible," El whispered. "Sir, they're firing. Multiple launches detected." The battle happened so fast that El barely understood what he was seeing. Human ships moved with precision that should not have been possible. They used weapons that coalition scanners barely recognized, missiles that could think for themselves, projectiles that moved at a significant fraction of light speed, energy beams that cut through shields like they were not even there. In 6 minutes, 40% of El's outer defense fleet was gone, just gone. 14 ships destroyed, 12 more disabled and drifting, over 12,000 soldiers dead. And the human fleet had taken no damage at all. 0. "How?" El demanded. "How are they doing this?" Pulled up tactical data with shaking hands. "Sir, their ships are using artificial intelligence for targeting. That's illegal under coalition law, but humans don't care. Their computers can calculate and respond faster than any organic crew. And sir, according to these readings, they're not even trying to preserve their ships. They're fighting like they expect to die." "What do you mean?" "Their reactor outputs are beyond safe limits. They're burning fuel at rates that will deplete their reserves in hours. They're overcharging weapons that will burn out after extended use. They're running their engines so hard that the ships will need complete rebuilds if they survive. Sir, these crews are not planning to go home. They're planning to win at any cost. El stared at the tactical display. The human ships were moving into position around station. They were surrounding it, cutting off all escape routes. A communication came through. It was Admiral Menu again. General L, the human said. His voice was somehow even colder than before. You now have 6 hours. Return every human on that station unharmed, or we will take them by force. This is your final warning. You would attack a station full of your own people, L challenged. You would risk their lives. Admiral Menu's expression did not change. General, you do not understand humans at all. We do not abandon our children, ever. We will take that station apart piece by piece if we have to. Every one of my officers has volunteered for this mission knowing they may not survive. Every one of them has said goodbye to their families. We are all willing to die to bring those children home. Are you willing to die to keep them? The communication ended. El sat down heavily. His scales were pale gray, the color of fear. This was not going according to plan. This was not going according to any plan he had ever seen. On station, things were getting worse. Had finally received his insulin after the guard captain found it, but he was still weak. The children were hungry and scared. The guards were becoming nervous. They could hear the alert sirens. They knew a battle was happening outside. One guard, the young one who had been worried earlier, looked at through the barrier. "Teacher Human," he said, "is your fleet really going to attack this station?" Looked at him steadily. "Yes." "But you are here, your young are here. They would risk killing you." "They won't kill us," said. "They'll kill you. Human soldiers are very, very good at close combat. If they board this station, they will go through your security like a knife through water, and they will not stop. They will not negotiate. They will not take prisoners. They will kill everything between them and these children." The guard's scales went pale. "That is not civilized." "No," agreed. "It is not. But humans are not civilized when you threaten our children. We become something else, something much older and more dangerous. Your general has awakened something in the human species that we try very hard to keep sleeping." Had been listening. She pulled out a small device that looked like a simple data pad, but she pressed a sequence on it that activated a hidden transmitter. It sent a brief signal pulse disguised as static interference. To anyone monitoring, it would look like electronic noise, but it contained a message, coordinates, number of guards, layout information. 3 decks below the holding cells, in a maintenance tunnel that was supposed to be empty, 12 humans in black armor received the signal. They had been on the station for 8 hours already. They had infiltrated during the confusion of the first battle, using a technique called drift insertion, where they literally floated through space in stealth suits and entered through a damaged section of the hull. Commander looked at the message on his helmet display. He turned to his team. "We have the location. Begin prep on the defenses. Get your medical supplies ready. We have children who need help." The explosives expert grinned behind her helmet. "Finally, I've been mapping their security systems for hours. I can bring down their entire defense grid in 3 minutes." "Do it," ordered. The Ghost unit had trained for this. Every one of them was a volunteer. Every one of them had children of their own, or siblings or nieces and nephews. When they heard that human children had been taken, they had all reported for duty within hours. They had not been ordered. They had simply shown up. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Menu watched the timer count down. 4 hours left. His tactical officer, a woman named, looked at him. "Sir, we have confirmation. Ghost unit is in position. They can begin the extraction on your order." "Wait for the signal," Menu said. "Let's give the one more chance to do this the easy way." But even as he said it, he knew they would not. The general was too proud, too stupid, too trapped by his own culture's view of children as expendable resources. Humans were not like that. Humans had spent millions of years evolving to protect their young at any cost. It was written into every cell of their bodies. It was deeper than thought, deeper than culture, deeper than law. And General L was about to learn what happened when you triggered that ancient, primal instinct. 2 hours before the deadline, everything went wrong at once. A guard captain entered the holding cell area. He had been drinking something alcoholic. The stress of the situation had gotten to him. He looked at the human prisoners with anger in his 3 eyes. "This is your fault," he said in broken English. "Your people are killing my crew, all because of you." Stood up slowly, putting himself between the guard and the children. "We did nothing. Your general took us." "Shut up," the guard captain shouted. He raised his weapon, a long electric rod used for controlling prisoners. 7-year-old Sarah, who had been crying quietly, let out a small sob. The sound seemed to enrage the guard even more. He pushed past and reached for the little girl. He never completed the motion. Moved faster than any had ever seen a human move. His hand caught the guard's arm and twisted. There was a crack of breaking bone. The guard screamed, twisted again, and there was another crack, and another. The guard's arm was broken in 3 places. Other guards rushed in, weapons raised, stood over Sarah, breathing hard. Doctor moved to shield the other children with his own body, positioned herself in front of the teenagers. "Touch them again," said quietly. "See what happens." More guards arrived. They stunned with electric weapons until he fell. They hit Doctor when he protested. They shoved to the ground, but they did not touch the children. In the maintenance tunnel 3 decks below, Commander heard the commotion through the walls. He checked the security feeds they had hacked into. He saw the guards beating the adult humans. He saw the children screaming in terror. "That's it," he said. "We're not waiting anymore. Drop their defenses. All teams weapons free. We are green light." "Copy that," said. Her fingers flew over her pad. She had spent hours preparing for this moment. She had mapped every security node, every power relay, every sensor on the station. Now she activated the programs she had planted. All over station, systems began to fail. Door locks opened randomly. Security cameras went dark. Communications went to static. The main power grid fluctuated. Lights flickered throughout the facility. In the chaos, Ghost Unit moved. They had 12 operators, 12 humans against over 300 security personnel. In any normal situation, this would be suicide, but Ghost Unit did not fight normally. They hit the security center first. 4 were monitoring screens when the humans came through the door. They died before they could even reach for weapons. The humans moved like shadows, like death itself. Their weapons made almost no sound, just quiet coughs that ended lives. "Security center secure," one operator reported. "We have control of internal sensors." "Good," said. "Guide us to the prisoners' fastest route." They moved through the station like ghosts. When they encountered guards, they did not hesitate. They did not warn. They did not stun. They killed quickly, efficiently, quietly. A group of 5 guards heard something and turned a corner. They saw humans in black armor. They raised their weapons. They were dead before they finished the motion. The humans did not even slow down. The combat medic killed 3 guards with her sidearm while running at full speed. She did not miss once. When her gun was empty, she pulled a blade and killed a 4th guard in close combat, all in less than 6 seconds. An alarm finally began to sound. They realized they were under attack from inside, but it was too late. Ghost Unit was already at the holding cells. Commander placed breaching charges on the door. "Stand back," he said over his external speaker so the humans inside could hear. The door exploded inward, and 3 other operators rushed into the room, weapons up. They found a doctor on the floor, bleeding. They found protecting the children. They found 87 terrified kids huddled together. "We're human military," announced, his voice calm despite the violence around them. "We're here to take you home, triage the wounded, everyone else secure the perimeter." Rushed to and doctor, she pulled out medical supplies and began treating them. "You're okay," she told them. "You're safe now." Little Sora looked at the armored humans with wide eyes. "Are you going to hurt them?" she asked, pointing at the guards. Looked down at her. Behind his helmet, his face was grim. "Only if they try to stop us from taking you home. Can you walk?" Sora nodded. "Good, stay close to the teachers. We're leaving now." Outside the cell, a squad of 20 guards was rushing toward their position. They came around a corner and ran straight into 4 Ghost Unit operators. What happened next was not a fight, it was a massacre. The humans had better armor, better weapons, better training, and they had something else. They had absolute determination. Every one of them was fighting for children, not orders, not territory, not politics, children. One operator, a man named, took 17 hits from weapons. His armor was smoking. Warning lights were flashing in his helmet. He kept fighting. He killed 4 guards with his rifle, 3 with his sidearm, and 1 with his bare hands before another operator pulled him back to cover. "I'm fine," insisted. "I can keep going." "You have 3 broken ribs and severe burns," the other operator said. "You can't." "I can keep going," repeated. "Until those children are on a ship, I can keep going." On the bridge of his flagship, El was watching security feeds in horror. The humans were cutting through his station security like they were nothing. The feed showed a human female operator taking on 6 guards at once. She killed all 6. The feed showed humans moving with coordination that should not have been possible. They seemed to know where every guard was before they turned a corner. "How?" El whispered. "How are they doing this?" "Check the data. Sir, their armor has networked computers. They share information instantly. When one human sees something, all humans see it. They fight as a single organism. And sir, they're not trying to minimize casualties. They're maximizing speed. They're sacrificing their own safety to reach the children faster." On the station, Ghost Unit had formed a moving perimeter around the children. The 87 kids were in the center, with operators on all sides. They moved through corridors, heading toward the docking bay where their ship waited. Guards tried to stop them. They died. A security team tried to set up the humans went through it, literally through it. They blew a hole in the wall and went around. Still weak from his insulin problem, was being carried by an operator named. The big soldier held the boy carefully, like he was made of glass. With his other hand, he fired his rifle at anything that moved. "Almost there," said gently to the boy. "Just a little further." They reached the docking bay. Their ship was there, engines already running. But between them and the ship stood 40 guards in full battle armor. Commander assessed the situation instantly. "Get the children on the ship. Now, we'll handle this." "Sir, there's too many," one operator said. "I don't care if there's 400, replied. "Get those children home." The operators formed a wall between the children and the guards, 8 humans against 40 armored. The teachers rushed the kids toward the ship, carried Sora. Despite his injuries, helped the older children move quickly. The commander shouted at them to stop. Commander's response was simple. He opened fire. The battle that followed was brutal. The humans were outnumbered 5-1. It did not matter. They fought with a ferocity that terrified them. They took hits that should have killed them and kept fighting. When their rifles ran out of ammunition, they used pistols. When those ran out, they used blades. When those broke, they used their hands. By the time the last child was on the ship, 6 Ghost Unit operators were down, was dead. 2 others were not far behind, but every single child was safe. Bleeding from multiple wounds, carried little Sora to the ship himself. He handed her 2. "Take care of them," he said. "What about you?" asked. Looked back at his team, at the wounded, at the dead. "We're soldiers. This is what we signed up for. Go." The ship lifted off, shields at maximum, racing away from the station with its precious cargo of 87 children and 3 teachers. On his flagship, General L watched it happen. He saw the children escape. He saw the cost. He saw what humans were willing to sacrifice for their young. And finally, after 3 years of underestimating the humans, he understood. He understood too late. The ship carrying the children docked with the UES Indomitable 30 minutes later. Admiral Menu was there personally to greet them. He knelt down to be at eye level with the children as they came off the ship. "Welcome home," he said softly to each one. "You're safe now." Little Sara ran to him and hugged him. She did not know him. She had never seen him before. But he was human and he was safe, and that was enough. Menu held her carefully and his eyes were wet. Medical teams were ready. Doctor, despite his injuries, insisted on staying with to make sure his insulin treatment continued properly. His arm in a sling and his face bruised, refused to sit down until every single child was accounted for and safely aboard. Was the last off the ship. She walked to Admiral Menu and handed him a data chip. "Everything that happened on that station," she said. "Every moment. I recorded it all." Menu took the chip. He looked at it, then at her. "Thank you, go rest now, you've done enough." But shook her head. "The operators who saved us, are they?" "6 are dead," Menu said quietly. 5 are in critical condition. 1 refused to evacuate until the rest of the team was secure. Closed her eyes. Overhearing, put his good hand on her shoulder. They had seen what those soldiers had done. They had watched them fight against impossible odds, for children they did not know, for a mission that should have been suicide. That was what it meant to be human. On his flagship, General L received a communication from Coalition Command. The message was simple: stand down, surrender, this ends now. But L's pride still would not let him. He had lost the prisoners, but he still had his fleet. He still had his military power. He could salvage this situation. "Sir," said nervously, "the human fleet is moving. All 89 ships are taking up attack positions." "Let them try," L said, but his voice lacked confidence. "We still outnumber them." Admiral Menu appeared on every screen, on L's flagship, on every coalition ship in the system, on station, on public channels across known space. "General L," Menu said, his voice echoed through the void. "The children are safe. You have 2 choices now. Surrender your fleet and station or face total destruction. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. You have 1 hour to decide." L looked at his tactical displays. He saw the human ships. He saw the power readings. He remembered the battle where humans destroyed 40% of his fleet in 6 minutes. He thought about the operators who had torn through 300 guards to rescue the children. He thought about the 6 stealth ships still orbiting his. "Sir," said quietly, "you need to understand something. The humans brought 89 warships. Do you know what percentage of their total navy that is?" "Tell me," L said, already dreading the answer. 8%. For 87 children, they mobilized 8% of their entire military. "Sir, if you do not surrender, if you force them to destroy this fleet, they will do it. And then they will be angry. They will come to Prime. They will demand reparations. They will demand changes to coalition law. They will demand that we treat children of all species as protected non-combatants. And we will have to give them everything they want, because we started a war with a species that will sacrifice anything for their young." L looked at the countdown timer, 53 minutes remaining. He had spent 3 years believing humans were weak. 3 years of thinking their reluctance to use violence made them easy to manipulate. 3 years of being completely, catastrophically wrong. Humans were not weak. They were restrained. They used diplomacy not because they could not fight, but because they were trying very, very hard not to. Because when humans went to war, they went absolutely, completely. They did not stop until they won or until they were dead. And when you threatened their children, they became something beyond reason, something primal, something that would burn down the galaxy before allowing harm to come to their young. Send the signal, El said heavily. We surrender, unconditional surrender, all ships, the station, everything. Looked relieved, yes, sir. Within minutes, coalition ships began powering down weapons. White flags appeared on communication channels. The surrender was broadcast across all frequencies. On the Indomitable, Admiral Menu watched the surrender with no visible emotion. His tactical officer looked at him. Sir, we did it. They surrendered. It should never have come to this, Menu said. Those children should never have been taken. Those operators should never have died. This entire situation could have been avoided if they had simply understood one basic fact about humans. What fact, sir? Menu looked at the screen showing the coalition fleet. That you do not touch our children, ever. 1 week later, General L stood in a coalition court. His rank had been stripped. His career was over. He was facing charges of reckless endangerment, kidnapping, and starting an unauthorized military incident. He would likely spend the next 50 years in a coalition prison. But that was not what bothered him. What bothered him was the look the human ambassador had given him during sentencing. Ambassador had stared at him with cold eyes and said, "You're lucky. If you had harmed even one child, there would be no trial, no court, no mercy. Every human in the galaxy would have hunted you forever. Count yourself fortunate that you only lost your career." El believed her. The incident changed the galaxy. The coalition immediately passed the Juvenile Protection Accord, which declared children of all species to be protected non-combatants in any military action. Violations would be treated as the most serious war crimes, and everyone knew why this law passed so quickly, because no one wanted to face human retaliation. Military academies across the galaxy added new courses. The incident became required study for all officers. The lesson was simple: understand the species you are dealing with. A mistake in understanding can lead to catastrophic consequences. Pirate guilds updated their codes of conduct. No human children became a universal rule, enforced more strictly than any government law. Because pirates understood that while they might survive government prosecution, they would not survive human vengeance. A new phrase entered common galactic language: never touch the human young. It was said with the same seriousness as physical laws. Gravity pulls down, fire burns. Do not touch human children. Back on Earth, the children were returned to their families. There were parades, celebrations. The operators who died were given full military honors. Their names were added to monuments. Their families were told that their loved ones had died for the most important mission of all, protecting children. Returned to teaching. He walked with a slight limp now, but he never complained. When his students asked about his scars, he told them about the incident. Not the violence, not the terror, but the moment when an entire species mobilized to save them, when strangers risked everything for children they had never met. Became an advocate for better civilian protection in space. She traveled across human colonies, telling her story, making sure people understood both the danger and the response. Doctor continued caring for his patients. The boy with diabetes visited him regularly. The boy wanted to become a doctor too, so he could help people the way it helped him. Little Sarah grew up. Years later, she joined the military. When asked why, she said simply, "Because soldiers protected me when I was scared. I want to protect other children too." Admiral Menu continued his service. He never spoke publicly about the incident, but in private moments, he would say that those 6 days showed him the very best of humanity, the willingness to sacrifice everything for those who could not protect themselves. And on his, stripped of honor and rank, El spent his days thinking about his mistake. He had believed humans were weak because they were kind. He had believed their compassion was a flaw to exploit. He had learned too late that human kindness was a choice they made every day to be civilized, diplomatic, and peaceful. But it was only a choice. And when you threatened what they loved most, when you took their children, they stopped choosing to be civilized. They chose to be what they had always been underneath, what evolution had made them over millions of years. Protectors, survivors, warriors who would cross any distance, pay any price, and face any enemy to keep their young safe. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Some species produced thousands of offspring and treated them as expendable. Some species laid eggs and never looked back. Some species had no parental instinct at all. Humans were different. Humans would burn down civilizations for a single child. They would face impossible odds. They would sacrifice their own lives without hesitation, because human children were not just the future. They were everything. And now the galaxy knew. The galaxy understood. The lesson had been written in blood and fire and the wreckage of careers and fleets. Never threaten human children. Never take them. Never harm them. Because if you do, you will face something more terrifying than human weapons, more dangerous than human tactics, more unstoppable than human ships. You will face human parents, human soldiers, human civilians, every single human who has ever loved a child. And that is a force that no military in the galaxy can withstand.